Disassociation and grief is a very tough combination to deal with because one is taking you away from your feelings, which is disassociation, and grief in itself is such a consuming feeling. It consumes every bit of you, and when these two come together, you're just stuck. And especially if you don't know, or if you're recently diagnosed with dissociation, it can get very difficult to navigate through a very difficult phase. And this is exactly what I plan to speak about today. I have disassociated basically all my life. It would not be wrong to say that. And I got diagnosed pretty late. Currently, I am dealing with pet loss. I lost my dog Simba at a very young age of 2.7 years. It's been a few tough days, and it marks 1 month of his passing tomorrow. So I decided to come here and speak about the grief and disassociation together and how I am dealing with it at the moment, so that it can help you or anyone who struggles with the same in any sense or manner. So the first thing about disassociation is that you feel you're just not a part of this reality anymore, or you can't connect with the part of you that wants to grieve so desperately. I can feel the grief in me screaming at times, and I'm just like, everything's fine. And the first thing that I did to disassociate very subconsciously is that I started seeking theories. I started seeking theories around that. I was like, why does that happen? What happens to the soul? Da, 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 da. Even the subjects that I was not even interested in, I went and I seeked information from there so that I can find some soothing in that. And this is not to say that it's wrong for you to seek information, not at all. But the degree that you're doing it to, that matters a lot. I was not able to cry at times. I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I was never like this. And when I think to myself now, I was just disassociating all that while. Disassociation can feel different for different people. For me, it manifests in certain manners. And the most common things is that I overindulge in things. Overindulge in other things that stimulate me in a very low energy level kind of thing. So for example, I will indulge in a lot of food, or I'll indulge in a lot of screen time. I'll indulge in reading a lot. Also, the way I disassociate is by intellectualizing my emotions. And this is something that a lot of people do. Intellectualizing your emotions can look like, oh, I'm feeling sad. Yeah, this event has happened in my life, and of course it is going to cause this. Let me look into my brain chemistry. What is happening in my brain while I feel this, or what is changing in my brain? How does the brain function? Diverting the attention from the feeling, because you're so scared to feel the feeling in your body that you divert it to some other thing, which is maybe understanding. Whereas again, there is nothing wrong with trying to understand what is happening in your body, what is happening in your brain, but completely avoiding the emotional aspect of it and jumping to, oh, I'm feeling sad, what hormone is being released, or what part of my brain is currently active. That can be a little concerning. Again, this is not a medical advice at all, and this is something that I do, and I have been diagnosed with it, so I can share my experience. If you're someone who's diagnosed, then well, I hope this helps, but if not, please do not take it as any legal medical advice or anything like that. Coming back to the topic, so I started reading stuff. Then when I couldn't find those theories soothing enough, I jumped to understanding how grief works. I remember I came after burying him. It was the morning, and I just sat down, and instead of actually feeling the grief or crying or anything, I jumped to looking things up, how grief works, pet loss grief. And later on, now that I think of it, it was just me disassociating completely. Even when Simbu was in my lap, taking his last breaths, I zoned out. Simbu was on my lap and I was staring at a wall, and my friend who was present there for me, she had to scream my name to bring me out of that zone, or whatever you want to call it. Disassociating is really hard because you want to feel something, but your brain is like, no, it's not safe for you. And that's why it holds you back from feeling things. And it's not just applicable on grief. I am speaking about it in relation to grief because this is something I'm facing. And this is something that I am trying to overcome at the moment. But it can happen in all areas of your life. And also remember that disassociation is not just from the negative feelings. It's from the good feelings as well. Disassociation does not take away your feelings of sadness or grief or depression or stuff like that. It takes away your capacity to feel happiness, to feel excitement, to feel other stuff as well. Now coming to the feeling nothing area. You feel nothing. You genuinely feel nothing because a certain part of your brain is just shut down. And when that happens, you end up feeling like there's something wrong with you, but you can't pinpoint at it because your brain does not let you go there. Some common things that I often see myself doing when I'm disassociating is I have no motivation. So as we all know that motivation is not always logical. Motivation is not always stimulated by logic. It's more often than not actually and highly stimulated by emotions. And since you can't feel emotions, you can't feel the motivation kick in to do things. Another thing is focus. I lack focus a lot, and this is something that generally happens with me as well. So I am a coach for women. And I realized in my early stage of working that if I'm not looking at them and listening to them and doing something with my hand, I cannot focus for the life in me. So I have to do video calls. I have to do something with my hands, be it noting something down, be it just, making stupid notes. Not stupid, they are important, but yeah. Anyway, so I have to continuously stimulate 2-3 senses so that I can focus on actually what the other person is saying. If I'm losing focus, I know I'm disassociating again. Another thing that really happens with me when I'm disassociating is I feel very distant from myself. So usually I am someone who's very much in touch with her feelings, or at least I make a conscious effort to feel my feelings. But at times I dissociate completely. I don't know what I'm feeling. If you ask me, hey, how are you doing? I'm like, interesting question, but I genuinely don't know how I'm doing. And another thing, and this is just very correlated with everything kind of, I just don't know who I am. So there is a loss of identity as well in addition to all of this. Now, this can sound very complex, but with necessary support, it can be taken care of. I'll not say it makes it very easy or anything, but it can be taken care of. Now, coming to what I'm doing and what you can do in case you're disassociating, be it from grief or be it from some other emotion, so that you can feel better. The first thing that I do is, nowadays especially, that I take 30 minutes out in the evening and in the morning to just sit down. I don't do anything else in that time. I don't try to think. I don't try to feel. I don't try to see what is happening around me. I don't use any gadgets. I don't try to indulge in any other activity apart from just sitting. Your ability to just sit and be in the moment is actually taken away by disassociation at times. This is not applicable in each and every circumstance or situation, but at times it is taken away because your brain is constantly trying to run from a part of its own, and when you give it nothing to run from, it's like forced to just sit. There's something that helps me, and this is the exercise that I discussed with my therapist. You can maybe discuss similar exercises with your therapist and see what they feel is the best suiting thing for you to do. Another thing that I do is I try to avoid screen now. So like I said that I am someone who overindulges in food, I am also someone who overindulges in screen in order to avoid my emotions. And this is not just me. I was reading a research paper recently and it clearly stated that how a lot of people nowadays are using screens to disassociate from their life, and it's causing a deep sense of loss of identity. So I try to avoid screen as much as possible, especially scrolling mindlessly. Scrolling mindlessly gives you something to look at while not having to give it a lot of attention so that you don't have to process it, and at the same time it gives you an escape from whatever your brain does not want to deal with. It's literally a win-win situation for your brain but not for you. So avoid scrolling at times, and I try to minimize my screen time as much as possible. Now avoiding screen can be a difficult task. It was for me initially. I was constantly like, I was not even aware that I was scrolling. It was that bad. But eventually I had to come in terms with that, okay, if I need to avoid screen, maybe I can just start with talking to people. So instead of scrolling mindlessly, now I'm talking to people and I'm engaging. I have to actively engage, I have to listen, I have to focus. A friend of mine offered to be on Google Meet with me at all the times needed. So that really helped me. If you can have someone to do the same with you, that would be great, and that can help you a lot, because now you're not indulging in screen time which does not need that much attention, but also you're not completely taking screen away from yourself. Another thing that I like to do, and again I have discussed the exercise with my therapist and we have decided how much I'm going to do this so that it does not affect my mental health deeply, is that I try to stimulate an emotion. So for example, after a few days after Simba's passing, I just felt very disconnected from him. I didn't know what it felt like to hold him. I didn't know what his presence was like, even though I've lived with him like all the time. And I completely lost a sense of what it was like, honestly, to have him. And this really helped me, that is stimulating that feeling. So how I stimulated that feeling is by looking at Simba's videos and pictures and letting that grief come on surface. Whereas what I was doing is avoiding his pictures, avoiding his videos, doing my own thing and being like, yeah, he's with me in the energetic form. Yes, he is. That does not take away that. But also that does not mean that I do not grieve the physical absence. So this is something that I started doing. Discuss it with your therapist and see what they have to say about it. And if they allow you, they approve of it, given your mental condition, go ahead. You can definitely do it. Also, another thing that really helped me a lot is I made a list of things, small little things that I do every day to disassociate. So for example, screen and food are something big that it's not like really small, that I'm going to see screen. No, small things, for example, for me could be like, if I'm looking at his picture, I would just go and divert myself to my cat for no reason. She does not need my attention, she's sleeping. I'll just walk up to her and maybe even annoy her in the process, which is really stupid of me, but I would do that just so I don't feel the grief, just so I have some distraction. Another thing that I would do is sleep. And sleep, not like sleep, but nap. It was not even nap, it was just me running from things. So I would shut down everything and just go in my own bubble. It was also reading random things. It's not making any sense to me. I'm not even reading it properly because I'm not able to make sense of it. I'm not able to process the information, but I'm just reading for the sake of it so that I can distract. So similarly, I made a list of things that I use as a coping mechanism or as a tool to disassociate. And then whenever I find myself engaging in those things again and again, I hold myself back and I'm like, no, hold on, sit down, you gotta deal with this, you gotta sit with it. What is it that is coming up for you and that you feel like running away from? And then I sit with it. It's hard at times, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, the last point for this video is going to be very it's just an advice, honestly. How do you know that you're disassociating? This is what this is going to cover. So for example, it just happened with me a week before only. I was watching something that was a little triggering for me, and as I was sitting and watching, after like 15 minutes or 30 minutes, I ensured that I'm engaging in other activities also, so that I don't have the urge to immediately leave that thing. But after 30 minutes or something, that urge caught up, and I was like, no, I have to do something new. I can't sit here. And my brain was making me feel like that I'm excited to do the other thing and not this thing, and that's why I should make the shift. But instead of directly jumping to the new activity, what I did was I engaged in another activity that I enjoy. And then I was like, okay, I'll do this for 10 minutes. If I don't enjoy this and the urge to do the next thing is still present, because this new thing is not triggering to me, then I'll go do it. But if the urge is still there and it's not going, I'm probably going to come back to the first thing that was important for me to do. And it really helped me understand when I'm disassociating and when I genuinely have interest in something else, because the two can sometimes feel a lot similar, at least they do to me. So that's how the whole disassociation thing is working for me right now. And this is all I had to share with you for today. I hope this was helpful. I hope it helps you figure something out. And that's that. If you're struggling with anything else, and if you would like me to speak about something else, please do let me know, and I would be more than happy to speak about that. Until then, thank you.